All right, guys, we got Dante Brazizi on our broadcast today, and he is going to tell us how he is bringing in buyers and sellers of real estate in Boston. And he's got a following of over 21,000 followers, and he is actually producing results and real leads with his Instagram channel. Join us in just a second. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Spyglass Realty with Ryan Rodenbeck and Matt Edwards. Just a little background here. Dante is in the Curator community with me, and I saw him speak in Boston at the Curator conference about, what was that, almost a month ago now, right?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just blown away. I've been on the Instagram train for a while, highly focused over like the last, I'd say, 6 months now. And I noticed that you work for a team. Is it the Rollo Group?
Yeah, the Rollo real estate team, Rollo team.
Gotcha. And Dante has over 22,000 followers. Is that right?
Yep. Just about, at the 22, 23 mark right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm developing an Instagram course for real estate agents, and Kelly is going to put a link in the chat that if you're interested in attending one of my live classes at the Austin Board of Realtors, we're putting together a schedule over the next month. So you can click the link and you can register for a notification. We're probably going to have our first class 2 weeks from today-ish, right? So if you're watching this, check this out. But getting back to Dante, and Dante, what I think you'll find interesting is that in Austin, Austin's known as a tech city, as is Boston, right? I actually was surprised to find out that, as far as I can tell, and I've looked pretty hard, that my Spyglass Instagram has the largest following of any independent brokerage in Austin. And this is what really, and I think we're almost at like 9,000 followers right now, right, which I would say is kind of low compared to, I don't know, I haven't really looked in other cities, but right, even on the personal agent ones, I started looking up agents, and I haven't seen anyone with more than like 5 or 6. So when I saw you at Curator, and you have, what are you, 20,000?
Yeah, I was about around 21 a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I guess my first question is, how did you get on Instagram, and what made you, what was the kind of bright light that said, okay, this is something that's going to happen?
Yeah. So I've been on Instagram, been a user since probably 2011. So I've been on for quite the ride. Since really they've changed hands before they even got acquired to Facebook. So, I mean, yeah, that was about.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been actively posting on there. I found that, Instagram is just a great way to relay quick messages to people. I'm always quick on my feet even before I got into real estate. So just kind of transponding pictures and just quick messages to each other. I developed it into, something obviously where I'm at today with a platform. But what really got me into this and the influences was just fitness and lifestyle at first. And I think the fitness industry really adopted Instagram at the beginning. There's just an immense amount of criteria where you could learn just about, your general nutrition, just in regards to just people posting about competition and a fitness community was really well built around Instagram. And that's really where I immersed myself and developed great relationships with people within the fitness community. And then obviously years down the line, I said, hey, you know what, Instagram started to develop, Facebook acquired it. And I said to myself, I think that there is a little bit more here to do with real estate. And sure enough, Instagram has turned into, a billion plus user platform today. And yeah, I mean, it's what I essentially call the new generational door knocking, if you will.
Yeah. So what I did with mine is, I started Instagram as personal, and, about a year ago, I decided, I'm going to get really focused on real estate. And it was always Spyglass Realty because I just put everything Spyglass Realty. So I guess for people that are watching this, what's the best advice that you can give agents that are looking to revamp their Instagram into a platform that is going to attract business?
Yeah. So my first tip of advice is to always, start small and build up. Rome wasn't built in a day. You want to think of this just like any other type of business plan. You know, you're not going to go from a 0 to a $1 million profit overnight in revenue. That's going to take a while. And you're an agent who's been in the game for a while and has been very successful. And obviously, as you know, things don't happen overnight in real estate. So how do they transpond over Instagram? It's going to be, you know, pretty much the same premise, just obviously online. So this is essentially like building an extended arm of your business. And like I said, the way to really get ahead and to really start getting things rolling is to essentially understand who your network and your sphere is. Because, you know, I'm not saying that if you can't just post. You know, the first thing people will come up to me and approach me and say, well, how do I successfully start up Instagram? That I have to post every day. And I think that's like the biggest myth. I think that you have to do almost the opposite. You know, you have to post information that people want to see. But if I'm just posting to my sphere, you know, closings with clients, but my sphere doesn't know my client or maybe even care about the closing, then is that really valuable material that should live on your page? So, so there's a breakdown. And I talked about this in Excellence a little bit too. You know, you have your stories and then you also have your timeline posts. And, you know, your stories can be almost your everyday, I just had breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Timeline post should be important information that's important to your sphere. And, you know, to be directly targeted to real estate is great. And that's where my account is kind of spawned to. But also share your personal life because people want to work with someone that's relatable too. And, you know, I'm sure you know that being in the industry, you know, they want to work with a human. You know, they want to work with who they feel. So that's great advice, right? So just stop you right there and just kind of recap that kind of nugget. And I've been trying to work on this. So the way I look at that and the way I take that advice is your posts are going to be evergreen content that brings value, okay? And your stories are just going to be a snippet of what your life is in that day because your story is only going to last for 24 hours, right? So you're allowed to make a lot more mistakes during your stories. You can make mistakes all day, and that's what it's there for. You want to be non-intentional with your stories. Like, okay, you take a blurry selfie of yourself, or like you're going to post a pic at a showing that like someone sees, but they might not care about too much. They just want to see what's going on. They're probably in their office, their phone's on silent. They're probably trying to get through the day at work, and they're probably just looking at your showings. And over time, that's going to continuously pop up and people are going to continuously see your stories. And I mean, it might not be the most relevant content, but that's where that non-relevant content can essentially live. So it's not essentially like you want to be like 70% intentional on stories and 30% just kind of let it fly, if you will. So that's
so Kelly is going to put your profile in the chat here in the description when we repurpose this. But the next question I have is like, so I know that you are actually getting business and getting leads. So like, how are you doing now? What are the posts that you do that actually people engage and say, I want to do business with Dante?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing is obviously building your business and building your brand around people that trust you. And fortunately, when I got into the business, I saw that opportunity on Instagram because I felt like nobody else was doing that. So how could I one up and leverage this platform that's already kind of built out for me? Like I'm getting 100 to 200, 300 to 400 likes already. You know, I'm not worried about necessarily the likes, but that's where I said I have the platform. I have the audience.
Yeah.
How to get back on track there. I mean, how do I essentially leverage it and gain business is providing and finding, first of all, finding who your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm posting $2 million properties all day, chances are that's probably like 0.1% of my demographic that's watching my stories.
Yeah.
But how I'm drawing them in is because you have to look like on your business page. If you have a converted business page on your Instagram, you can actually see the age breakdown, who's actually following you by age, location, geographically speaking. So I kind of took this into factor and I said to myself, well, look, like, you know, before my Instagram it's continuously growing, but before it really got on that track, I said, I have a network of people from the age of like, you know, probably like 19, 20 to probably 35 and up, right? Yeah. So, but my bulk of it, that like there was a percentile that was like, I think it was in like the 30% range from like, you know, X age to like, it was like 20 to 28, right? So I said to myself, all right, that's like your first time buying core right there, right? So I identified my demographic. I identified who my who my audience was, and I continuously tipped them with quick tips and quick hits. And people would, to this day, and I mean, they'll swipe up and say, what's the catch? You know, what's this? It's not a catch. It's just that no one's really ever taught them how to purchase a home the proper way. It's always been, and it's been like, oh, you have to wait. And so I found that niche for me.
Yeah. And I say the same thing about any social media that you're doing. Like, you know, and you made a good example about like, you know, the closing photos. Like, I'm not knocking anybody for doing that. And my agents do it. I do it every now and then too. But is that adding value, right? So you have to add value, and you just spoke to that. That's a great answer. You're adding value without anything in return. And it's kind of like, I think, you know, Gary V book, what is it? Jab, jab, right hook, you know, adding value, adding value, adding value. And the right hook every now and then is where you say, you put in a lead capture or whatever. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, you can provide, and then you can ask. You're not begging for someone to swipe up and ask you a question. You're not asking someone to donate to your team's fundraiser, but suggesting it. And, you know, that type of content should most likely be in your stories, like a quick giveaway. You know, if you want to get your clients involved, maybe do a poll or two, you know, and those are the things that are really going to draw people. So my Instagram platform, you know, transponded into more real estate agents, lenders, attorneys, and other industries coming to view what I have to offer. So what I essentially did was I switched up my dynamic a bit, and I kind of grew into that. And, you know, now I kind of have like a diverse type of content schedule, if you will. And it will continuously change as you build your Instagram. I mean,
and so that's a perfect segue into my next question is like, how do you organize your time and your post and your schedule for how you're going to post over the next day, week, or month? How do you do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, I mean, you know, my business is formulated around a seven day a week schedule time basis. Like, you know, I do have downtime like every normal person out there, but I've realized that, you know, some tactics that were potentially 10 to 15 years ago were very successful for some successful agents might not be the general calling for today's day and age. So what I did was, you know, I still prospect. I'm still cold calling very actively, and I'm doing a lot of that. But I've also dedicated about an hour to almost a day to create content.
Do you plan it out ahead of time or not?
So for posting my content, I don't necessarily have a content calendar. It's almost like eyeing food or eyeing something and getting a gauge of it. After a while, you develop tendencies, and you know how your sphere and your people react to certain posts at different times.
Yeah.
To mix it up. I mean, you know, before I was doing like 6 p.m. And that was like when everyone got home from work in Eastern Standard Time, 6, 7 o'clock. I would post them, do my 2 posts a week. But what I realized is like now people started expecting those type of posts. So that's when you want to switch it up. See, a lot of people think that like once you start to get people hooked, that's when like, oh, you just keep posting at that time. People like, you want to shake it up. And that's when you know, because then people are still engaged with your posts. That's when you know you have the most engagement. So you have to go back to ground zero again and then rebuild and start again in the morning or start again mid-afternoon and have them guessing, because the more that they continue to guess, the viewers, the more that they're going to be active on your page. And that's a fact. It's a known fact.
Yeah. Give me just a second. Do you mind if I jump on your page real quick?
Absolutely.
Let's see. I think this will be a pretty good exercise here. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can you see this?
Yep.
All right, don't pay attention to the enormous amount of tabs I have open here. So if you can see what Dante is doing, it's like you're putting a mix of pictures and, well, it looks like you have a lot of video, right?
A lot. And that was something that, like, you know, it takes a while to get used to, because I used to be a big picture guy.
Yeah.
Swipe down too far, but you'll see and you'll notice that a lot before it was just about me kind of trying to get as many people to like my videos. But I said, I'm missing a whole portion of my business by not educating. And that's when the videos really started.
But by so you're by educating, right? Is that what you
By
said?
educating, right? I mean, how much can you really do on a picture post? You know, there's only so
Yeah.
much you can do. But you know, again, like I said, if you're posting your Thursday night, you know, rundown of the market every Thursday, yeah, people are going to expect that. And maybe you could continuously do that, but also then don't get you know content, branch off and mix it up and go post something on another, you know, maybe a morning, you know, and that's when you can really add. So people always ask me like, when is the best time to post? When you got to find what works best. You got to really dig deep into your network and really understand who's viewing your post and your content. And that's how you're going to get the most value out of it. You know, like
Yeah.
Austin, Texas residents aren't going to want to see, you know, what the hottest, well, they probably would because you guys have an unbelievable nightlife over there, but
Yeah.
they're just not going to want to see like Boston sports teams or something like, you know, something
Right.
like a quick hit that, well, no one wants to see Boston sports teams, but they don't want to see like quick hits of like what I'm doing that night in Boston. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you got to find your groove on what people like to see and what they like want to see, you know, so.
Well, and that was a big takeaway for me was that you know, I don't know if you were there the last day, but Chris gave his social media.
Did a great job.
That was amazing, right? It's like, you know, who is watching you and what are you going to give to them? Like, you know, I can go to Facebook and see my family photos or anybody else's, right? And
Right.
I think, you know, I think too many people have this habit of trying to be too many things to too many people. Well, if you're a real estate page, then you need to be about real estate, right?
Right.
And even like having this conversation right now, I'm getting a lot of traction on like local restaurants and bars and just taking pictures of them and then saying what my favorite things are. And I think has value, but I'm going to be switching over to stuff like this. And now I have my Spyglass page, and then I have my Ryan Rodenbeck page. My Spyglass page is about places that people want to go to eat, you know, the cool, and I need to get less into that, but more because a lot of people are looking at my page moving from out of state or whatever, right? But more about like the different neighborhoods, the listings we have, what my agents are doing, and then my own personal page is all about what I'm trying to learn and then teach to my agents. Like I'm very focused on that, and so I think that's, you know, even just having this conversation with you, that's a big difference between like, you know, a business page and a personal page, right?
Yeah, totally.
So your business page, if I have 15 agents and, you know, I can be a little bit more well-rounded, whereas my personal page, like you, I need to be really focused. And that's why I'm not posting 3 times a day on my personal page, because I don't have that much to post.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want that content to be good when I post it. Does that make sense?
Correct. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like, that's the one thing, like you have to find the separation between the two. Like you can't like have your team page be an exact reflection of what you do on your personal page. Like you have to show character, right? And
Yeah.
like, that's a common question I get all the time too is, you know, should I have 2 pages? And I'm like, well, is one page your team page and the other page your personal page? Because that's the only 2 you should have. You shouldn't have like, you know, a Dante Brzezzi real estate page and a Dante Brzezzi, you know, just regular Instagram. This is what I do in my daily life. Because it's a bad reflection if you have to do that. Like clearly you're hiding something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like back in the day when people would apply for college and they were like, you know, hide your beer, you know, in your pictures or the weed or, you know, make sure no people see that kind of stuff.
Right.
Familiar. But like now people want to see that.
Yeah.
Like you have to just draw the line. Like people want to see who you are. And I think that's really the best. Like I tell people, delete your business account or delete which one has the less following or less engagement and keep one and just roll with it. But obviously there's a point in time where you have to, you know, I don't think anyone's going crazy, like posting crazy stuff like that over the top, but you have to be yourself too.
I think so too. And I made the decision, like, you know, I cuss a lot, right? And I made a decision that, like, if it's in the moment and I'm doing something on broadcast, I'm going to let it happen. I don't want to be, you know, Gary V crazy, you know, like with the cussing, right? But like if I'm talking passionately about something and I let an S word or F word go, I'm not going to do it now because we're talking about it. But I think, you know, you make a good point. If what you're doing in social media, it needs to be like reflect what you want your audience to see, but also have a good dash of personality. I mean, don't be someone that you're not, right? So, you know, if you say shit every now and then when you're passionate about something, then say it, you know. At the same time, I don't think you can be over. I don't know. I don't. I think maybe it's just me because I cuss, but I don't cuss that much, right? If I did, maybe I would be doing that on social.
Right.
So.
No, I agree with you here, and I you don't have to, like, you just be yourself. And I think that a lot of people are afraid to get on camera, and I think that's the biggest step, is like getting past that fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, we've all been insulted in our lifetime at some point, whether it's to our face, behind our back. I mean, what is it for someone to send an Instagram DM and say something bad? Well, guess what? Like, they just watched about 15 seconds or 20 seconds of you. So, and they also just took another 10 seconds to insult you. So they might be calling you to buy a home, even if they do insult you. I mean,
yeah,
I see it. I mean, like, I don't see it as bad. And I'm not looking for the quote. I'm just looking to essentially teach people about how to buy real estate. And at the end of the day, I mean, if they should see me as the best value in this area. And if they don't, then we can have that conversation. But it's at the end of the day, it's about not looking at your ROI, not looking at the end goal, but just looking at how you can better yourself. And that's going to better the people that are seeing what you see, or that they see.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. But for those guys that are watching, you know, again, Kelly is going to put this in the chat here below. You know, his Instagram. I've got some social media training coming up the next couple of weeks at the Austin Board of Realtors. If you are not following Dante, you've got to follow him. I mean, he is probably the most impressive person I've seen on Instagram. And how old are you?
I am 26.
Wow, that's amazing, dude. You have an incredible career ahead of you. I mean, I'm 43, and I'm just very envious. So,
we're all young.
Kudos, man. Well, thank you so much, and I'll be in touch. You know, definitely get some more tips from you.
Thank you to Ryan and the team again. Shout out to Spyglass Realty. Appreciate your time. It's always a great opportunity to speak with you guys. So,
all right, buddy. Take care.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.